Well, hello everybody, and for us, it's Happy New Year. It's our first show back, and by R, I mean KDM stands for Kit. Hi, Kit. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? And D stands for Demetri.
Yes, and the M stands for movies. Happy New Year, Kit. Good to
Happy New
see
Year to
you
you
on the other
too.
side of me. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, we are into 2026. We've got our first movie of 2026, and there was a movie in which we actually saw together. So it was a
We
great way to
did.
kick off movie going.
Yes.
The movie going experience, always better when we get to see these movies together. And this one,
100%.
we had to wait 28 years for. Well,
Well,
28 years later,
again, again,
again.
because we waited 28 years last year and now we're waiting another same time, guys. It's the
It
same
seems
time.
as if it seems as if it was
It's not
28 years.
another 28 years. It's still
No.
just same 28 years. Yeah. So,
Yes, that would be 56, I think, if my
right.
math is correct. But it's 28 years later. The Bone Temple is the movie we will be. It will be our first movie of 2026. And yeah, so we got to see it together. Decent presentation, good movie going experience. As always, I always defer to you, ladies before gentlemen, and I use the term gentleman loosely. What did you think of 20 years, 28 years later, The Bone
Bone
Temple?
Temple. I enjoyed it. I mean, I liked the first of the, I guess is what is a trilogy. I think that's what Danny Boyle, who is the one who created this franchise at the beginning. We
Oh, I'm sorry,
should we
may I
say we're
please
gonna spoil
interrupt?
spoilers?
Yes, we will have some spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, do not want certain plot points to be spoiled, hit pause, go watch the movie, and then come back. And
Yes.
it is going to be for some a long weekend, so you'll have plenty of time to watch it. We will be up in perpetuity,
Yes.
so we'll always be here.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
can catch us there.
Yes.
Okay.
So, this time though, it was not directed by Danny Boyle. It was directed by Nia DaCosta, but it was written by Alex Garland. So, in the one that came out last year, it's the 28 years later, we were introduced to young Spike, played by Alfie Williams, who lives on sort of this uh, island of sorts that you can only get there when the tide is low and you cross the divide, and the town that he lives in is fairly, fairly normal-ish, as so to speak, as far as we are now 28 days into this rage virus situation, which was only which
28
basically was
years.
28 years, sorry, which was basically contained in the United Kingdom. So that's where this is. So the United Kingdom has been quarantined off from the rest of the world. So no one is allowed on there. No one is allowed off of there. So anyway, we are introduced to young Spike, and he's coming of age and he goes on his first foray into the wildness of the mainland, basically, to forage with his father, um played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. And he gets his first zombie kill, all the kinds of stuff you're supposed to go through, I guess, as a kid or as a coming of age person living in this town. So this, at the end of the first one, Spike has decided to his mother has he has tried he tries to take he takes his mother, played by Jodie Comer, to see this doctor who's kind of created an entire world for himself, played by Ray Fiennes. And he
Yeah, he's no Dr. Kildare. He's no Dr.
um
Kildare, but his
Dr.
name
Kelson,
is
Ian Kelson.
Dr. Kelson. Yes,
Yes.
Ian Kelson.
And he the little boy wants to try to help see what's wrong with his mother, and they find him, they get to him, and turns out his mother has cancer, so and it's pretty far advanced. So she knows this is the end for her, and it's a very tender, sad moment. I mean, that part of the movie in that first one just had me just in tears. I mean, it was beautifully
It
done.
did because we did see this one
Yeah,
together as well.
yeah.
And I can vouch for her. She was, yes, she was in tears.
Anyway, he Spike is sort of traumatized by all of that and decides he does not want to go back to his small town. And so he ventures out and he ends up at the very, very end meeting this group of people called the Jimmies, I guess, led by Jack O'Connell. And his name is Jimmy. Everybody's name is Jimmy. And he so we're kind of starting the second one now starts at that point where
He
poor
is
Spike,
Sir Jimmy Crystal.
Sir Jimmy. Um so this one starts with poor Spike, who is kind of unfortunately ran into these people. Now they kind of want to keep him, so he has to prove himself, and these people are awful. I mean, just just like any Walking Dead season, you run into always it's and I think Dr. Kelson says it at one point, the real monsters aren't really the raged, the virus raged zombies. The real monsters are the humans who survived and what they end up doing to survive
But
or think they
and
have
let's
to
be
do.
yeah, and let's be honest. Let's be straight up front. They're Satanists.
They're Satanists.
Yes.
They sacrifice people. Um,
Charity.
so so the first little part of the movie was just was hard to watch actually right off the bat. And torture is not my most favorite thing to watch. So while I enjoyed the movie overall, that part of it, I just wish they didn't have to do it, but they kind of still do have to do it because guess you have to just see how horrible these people are, right? So poor and Spike. I mean, it's really Spike's perspective is what we're seeing this through, and he's like, holy hell, how do I get out of this? I don't, and it's just awful. And, he does end up befriending one of the Jimmies, um, played by Aaron Kellyman, Jimmy
Yeah, Aaron
Ink.
Kellyman,
Yeah.
Jimmy Ink.
And she kind of knows that Jack O'Connell's character is kind of full of shit. So, um, she's not quite on board with everything, but at the same time, she doesn't really know anything else. She's tried to go out on her own kind of thing. It felt like. So that side of the story is, hard to watch, but obviously it's Spike's journey. And then Dr. Kelson's, we got to have a little bit more of him, which is, I think, which was necessary because he was such a great character to introduce in 28 years later. And now we get to see more of who he is and what he's been trying to do. And he's still kind of trying to find a cure kind of thing. And he ends up sort of half befriending one of the alphas, this giant, like,
That alpha that was
South
in
Pacific
the
and yeah,
yeah. The alpha that was in
yeah,
28 years later,
yes,
the last
right.
movie. Yeah, he gets him hooked on not phonics, but morphine.
Which is great. He loves it. He comes back for it all the time.
Yes.
And it comes to find out that the rage virus, which really, I mean, it's a zombie film. We've established this as a zombie genre, but the actual infection or whatever it is isn't that they die. Well, I guess they do die. They get infected, and what this infection happens is they complete raging, monsters, and they attack you and kill you and eat you. Basically, is the gist of it.
And spread the
So,
virus.
right. So what I thought was very interesting, I mean, that part of the Dr. Kelson part was the best part, is that he finds that if they quiet the brain somehow, if they quiet what he ends up finding out is psychosis, which is what's happening with I mean, it gets a little bit medical in this, and I thought that was kind of cool. The psychosis, if they can if somehow that can be calmed, that maybe you can come back basically from it. And that ends up happening with this alpha. Um that Samson, that's right, he calls him Samson. um, that he actually comes back. He comes back from the brink and is able to function as a human again. And I obviously this, like I said, this is a three-parter, so the film ends with a certain that character Samson kind of going on. So I have a feeling he'll be prominently featured in the next one. But here's the spoilers, guys. You ready? You ready? You ready?
It's a big
The
one. I'm ready.
return,
I
the
saw it.
return of Cillian Murphy. He has returned to the franchise, which we kind of all had hoped he would. And he, carved out a little area for himself and his daughter. I'm not sure what, I guess we might find out what is ended up happening with the wife, but, or that the girlfriend he had. But you see at the very end, Killian's with his daughter and he's homeschooling her and really teaching her about history and whatnot. And they see Spike and Jimmy Ink running from some of the infected, and they're gonna go off and try to help them because they do end up escaping. Of course, my favorite scene of the whole movie was at the very end well, towards the end when Dr. Kelson basically plays Satan. So Sir Jimmy has convinced his small following that this is Satan, that he's Satan, and that he's made a deal with him and says, you go ahead and pretend you're Satan so I can save face with these people and I won't kill you. Basically, it's what ends up happening. But tables are turned. Tables are turned, and that the horribleness of that person is finally has gets his due, which I thought was
Right.
very cool. Anyway, overall,
Yeah.
yes, I find it a very intriguing continuation of this story, of this universe. And I liked how it went veered into different characters, worlds basically. Because again, I thought the Dr. Kelson part of the first one was my favorite part too, and so I kind of wanted to know a little bit more, and I'm glad I got to know a little bit more about it. And then and then Spike, of course, will carry on the story. He's the linchpin for this whole thing. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it except for the torture parts. Didn't like that so
Mhm.
much, but that's
It was
not
gruesome.
because yeah, it's very gruesome, and it's not because it wasn't part of the film and wasn't gratuitous or anything. It was part of the film. I still
Hmm.
just no
Yeah,
bueno.
it was it was gruesome. Um, okay, so first off, I was not a fan of 28 Years Later, the movie that came out a year ago. I wasn't a fan, didn't like it. And the question that I had then and the question that I have now still exists. Like, seriously, guys, you haven't come up with a cure 28 years later? Like, okay. And this one left me with some questions. In fact, one of the questions you actually asked me while watching the movie. However, with that said, uh, I did like the movie. I liked it more than the last film. It was a big swing. I find it different. I guess I also look at this movie a little bit differently than you did. To me, this movie is like a side story, right? Because we get away, like we're not in that village anymore. And honestly, the way I viewed the movie is that it really isn't from Spike's perspective anymore. We are seeing this movie through the Jimmies, the Teletubby group, these Satanists from
Yeah, but
Jimmy Crystal.
It's Spike's journey with these people. So we're still in
It's
Spike's
we're
world.
catching up. I'm not. I don't believe I'm watching the movie through Spike's eyes. I believe it's more Jimmy Crystal and Doctor what's his name?
Kelson.
Kel, through Dr. Kelson and through the Alpha. So we've got these three characters that were introduced in the last movie, and the focus is really on them and their journey, their travels, who they are, because we didn't quite know that they were Satanists. And then you also learn from 28 years later, the last movie, that Jimmy's dad, who was a pastor
Right.
who was taken by the plague, the rage plague, he escaped and, he became he became this Satanist.
Right.
He built this ragtag group of Jimmies. They're called the Fingers. They're the
Right.
fingers of Satan. So I looked at it more like that. So it's a story that takes place within the universe of 28 Days Later, 28 years later, and but it's a story about these characters that were somewhat in the last movie, and now there's more focus on it. So there's more focus on the Alpha and Dr. Kelson's relationship with this Alpha and what he's trying to do. And as far as little Spike, he's in with this group, but he's being dragged along and he's finding it hard to escape and such. So, and then they come across, it's about the rampage that they're, and the damage that they're doing. They come across
Right.
a family in a house and things don't go very well there. Um, and then when finally they see our Dr. Kelson from afar, and because he's all in iodine,
Yeah.
um, they mistake him to be
Right.
Satan. He's
Right.
like, because they also see him talking with the
Right.
Alpha. So they're like, oh my God, like Satan exists. He's right here. We have to go meet him. And their paths eventually cross. And when they do, Jimmy Crystal realizes he's not Satan, but yeah, you
Yeah.
got to do me this solid, as you put it, or else I kill you.
Yeah.
Um, and those scenes were that scene in that third act was pretty damn
Yeah.
trippy.
Yeah.
And it goes to show how loose, like Ray Fiennes, man, that
I
scene
know.
was crazy.
He's
That was
crazy.
bananas.
Yeah.
He was,
He was
he played,
fantastic.
oh, it's fantastic.
He's like,
It's
he
unlike
has all
something you'll
these
see.
he's got these old records from like the 80s or whatever that he listens to. Duran Duran is one of his favorites, but he puts on Iron Maiden as being Satan. Oh my God, it was
Sign
fantastic.
of the Beast. Yeah, it was a
Fantastic.
crazy scene, and how he turns the tables on Jimmy is somewhat clever. And but again, I look at it sort of kind of like in the John Wick world where they do like ballerina. It's in the John Wick world. It
Yeah.
has to do with the John Wick character. I I'm not a fan of that movie at all, but I'm just using it as an example. It's not unlike like Fear of the Walking Dead
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
This one to me too had, I don't know, to me, this one as a horror fan, I looked at it as having ties to Day of the Dead. That's the follow-up of Dawn of the Dead. If you're a fan of the George A. Romero movies, each movie is its own entity.
Hmm.
And from Night of the Living Dead to Dawn of the Dead and them all, Day of the Dead has the military people who are not good. And then you had, I kind of likened the Alpha in this movie, the Bone Temple, to Bub in Day of the Dead. If you remember, there
No, I'd
was a
never seen that one.
doctor. Okay, so in that movie, as a refresher for those who have seen it, may not seen it in a while, there's this one takes place in a military compound, and there are some scientific research people there, and there is one doctor in particular who believes he could, very much the same as Dr. Kelson, he very much believes that he can tap into a zombie's mind, and he wants to see if there's any sense of humanity left in this creature, any sense of humanity at all. And he finds something. He does. He finds this character, which is affectionately named Bub, uh, somewhat in the recesses of whatever mind is left. He kind of muscle memory remembers being human. That storyline, I found it to be very similar to what's going on with Dr. Kelson and our alpha
Right.
male. Uh, and, his whole unorthodox way, or whichever way you want to see, to what you were saying, is there human memory? Like, does he have a memory of who he was
Right.
prior to being infected?
Right.
So I found that all that interesting as
Me too.
well. And
But
I
he
found
also
this,
comes to realize that the infected are not they're not, and that we got another perspective, another idea of what's happening with these infected is that they're not seeing something the way it's being that it's really happening, that it's real.
right.
So they have a psychosis, is what he's saying, and so when they see someone who's not infected, and then they see them as, I guess as someone that might kill them or might attack them, so that they attack them first, something like that,
And well, they made that a good point in this movie in particular
But you do remember
with a hunter.
in 28 weeks later, when they are in that the mother of the two
Hmm.
kids or whatever, she is half infected. So she's
Yeah,
infected, but she hasn't the rage virus hasn't completely changed her over. But she's still
right.
contagious. So
Yes.
there, I guess there must be, and also your point to why haven't they found a cure yet? I think we talked about this in the first one. I think it's because they've just written this whole thing. They've just completely, like the
Yeah, I
rest of
don't
the
buy that.
world's like,
The rest of the world would come together and, like, maybe not today, but
yeah,
under normal circumstances, the
maybe.
World Health Organization and all the great minds would be trying to figure out a way to perhaps cure this infected disease. I don't know. Rafa Fiennes and his isolationism on this I don't know, on this countryside.
Yeah.
He's the reason to watch this story.
Yes.
The Jimmies, um, you know, that their paths are going to cross at some point, and
Yes.
it is. You had said this, I believe you said it here, but I remember when we talked after the movie, the zombie movie inherently shows that, they're not the only monsters, or there are worse monsters, and those monsters are man, and what becomes of man and how they end up treating not just the zombies themselves, but their fellow man and their
Yeah.
survival
Well, I
and what
mean,
happens. Yeah,
every apocalyptic movie, every post-apocalyptic movie, you have that, and that's
right,
what would happen. I mean, that is absolutely realistic in the sense that humanity will, it can't, it's not going to be the same after something like that. And
right,
Walking Dead did it. I mean, they all did it. They all did
right.
it, and they're just horrible people. And and then interestingly enough, I know it's a movie you didn't love, but Civil War, the
Mhm.
movie that came out, same kind of thing, people to take it upon themselves to become who they think they're supposed to be, and they're supposed to be
Right.
policing what's happening. Yeah, so all of that, that's just scary.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's a great basis for it's always a good science fiction trope. It's good to kind of turn the heels on horror a bit, because this movie, as a horror movie, not necessarily your traditional kind of horror. The horror is what man does to man,
Yes,
and
of
what
course.
these people who are Satanists, what they believe they're doing by giving, they call the torture and death. We're giving you charity,
Yeah,
basically. We're being charitable because we're taking you out of this
world, yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I found all of those aspects fascinating and interesting to touch upon. Yes, I found this movie it was probably, of the entire series, starting from 28 days later to 28 weeks, 28 years, this one's probably the most gruesome. If
Yes.
you do not have if you do not have a stomach for this sort of thing, and you're right, it's like right out the get-go. Something happens, and I can only uh, I can only hint because I don't want to give too much away, but something similar happened in one of their Daniel Craig James Bond movies when he gets into a fight with someone at the beginning, at the top of the movie, more or less. And that this the opening scene was
Yeah.
pretty gruesome, and there's more gruesomeness that happens, but it's all. I found it interesting. There was one scene with the alpha that is your trope of gory horror movie. It's like basically there's a hunter and he takes his,
Yeah. Which we
a
saw
la
him do in the
Predator,
first movie. Yeah.
right? Um, gruesome, gross, zombie. But the most violent comes from man
Yeah.
and how they treated other people and
Yep.
how they were going to, how you, and it's funny because Dr. Kelson kind of sees this in Jimmy. Like, yeah, this guy's not like I may be a little off, but this guy's way off.
Well,
And
he does
you know,
say that for the first time he was really scared. He was,
yes,
he feared for his life, basically. So,
and
yeah.
with good reason. So, but again, it tells this story with these characters. This movie does have a beginning and a middle and an end for these characters. Um, some of them go off, but the ones that this movie is focused on, like they have their own beginning, middle, and end, and
Yeah.
that again, I go to the trinity of the Alpha, Dr. Kelson, and Jimmy Crystal
Yeah.
there. So it was just a very fascinating way to tell. I thought Nia DaCosta's direction was excellent. I think it's
Yes.
perhaps one of her best movies. She really handled thematically. She handled everything very well. The movie it's not paced like the past, and it doesn't have those crazy like jump cuts. It's not overly
No.
stylistic, I didn't find.
No.
So she does a good job in telling this story and bringing it together and again giving these characters a good arc and a good
Yeah.
story to tell, while at the same time she realizes, or and it could Alec Garden,
Alex Garland.
I'm sorry,
Alex
I'm sorry,
Garland. Hmm.
Alex Garland, and who's the director, Danny Boyle. I'm sure have an idea as to where they
Yeah.
wanted this to go and end because
Right.
they have their idea for the next movie. So
Right.
I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was a very interesting take. I'm going to make and that's why I think too it's called like the Bone Temple because we are telling a story not of our main characters from before. Aaron Taylor Johnson's not in this. That village is not in this.
Yep.
That Spike comes from. You were the one too. You asked me, it's like, why isn't he trying to run back home? I was like, that's a
Right.
good question. But I just found that it was fascinating. It was like a little side story that takes place within this universe. It does tell a story that ends up being somewhat integral, and I'm sure certain things will have ramification
Yeah.
in the next movie.
Yeah.
So
I'd
it
give
was
it solid
a,
4 stars from.
I give it a 3.5 actually for me, which the last one I think I gave it the finger. I gave it the one, but this one I give 3.5. I think it's good. I think the gore may turn some people off. And that very trippy look, you're either gonna buy into it with Ray Fiennes and you're gonna love it, or you're gonna go, "What the hell am I watching here?"
No,
Because it
no.
does like kind of
No, it
go off
totally
the
it's
rails.
but it totally makes sense. He just, he puts on a show
Absolutely, he
basically.
puts on a
So,
show. Yep, and yeah, I give it 3.5 stars. I liked it better than the last one. It's something that when it eventually comes to cable or whatever, I would give it another watch at some point. the little boy Alfie, he's very good. He doesn't have as much of a part as he did in the first one, which he, let's be honest, he carries that movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just found that it was an interesting take. Uh, because albeit not being like a direct sequel that's going to lead into it, it was still crafted in a way that will have ramifications in the following movies, whatever they decide to do. Yet it told stories of these other characters, and we got a good sense of what's going on in their world, and
Yeah.
that I appreciated it for.
Yeah.
And Nia DaCosta did a very good job in containing it and not confusing people. And
Yeah.
she did a good job. I think it's
Yeah,
her
she
best
did.
film to date. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely.
So.
All right.
Yeah. So good 3.5 stars. You give it a good 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, if you've seen it and obviously I hope you have because we gave some spoilers away. But let us know what you think about it as well.
Please
Like,
do.
subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause real quick.
Okay. Nah. So, folks, that's what we thought of 28 years later. It didn't take 28 years for you to watch this review. Hope it didn't feel that way for you. Please like, subscribe, and comment. What did you think? What have you thought so far about this series? This series is odd because there was a lot of time between 28 weeks later and 28 years later. That could have felt like 28 years. Sometimes it just doesn't work when you wait that long, but this one's hanging around. And also stay tuned because in our next episode, we're working on sharing with you what will be what we believe to be our most anticipated movies of 2026.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's a
gonna be a good
lot.
time.
Like I
I
was
know
going
there's a
through a
lot.
release schedule, and it looks like a very, very solid year. So we
Yeah,
can't wait to talk about that and include you in on the discussion for that. So
absolutely.
thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Hope you had a great holiday. Happy New Year. Here's to the movie going experience in 2026, Kit. Always a
Yay.
pleasure. Yay. And we will talk soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kit.